You'll probably hear the word grit from me quite often, and I think that's a word that associates with a successful financial advisor or someone in that industry. I stuck it out. It's about sticking it out, passing those exams, hitting your targets, and keep pushing forward.
From the cubicle to the lab, the studio to the war room, climbing the corporate ladder, or joining a scrappy startup, experience a day in the life of the jobs you want.
You're now listening to the Experience a Diddle podcast. You'll hear from professionals, entrepreneurs, and recent grads, all inspiring you to gain experience beyond the classroom and launch a career of your own.
We're your hosts, Christabel
And Matt Poe.
Welcome to the first of 3 installments of Experience a Diddle's Planning Financial Future series with Northwestern Mutual's Sam Syed. In this experience episode, we're going to run through Sam's resume to give you an idea of how he got his foot in the door and how you can do the same. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Sam attended Bishop's Halt Sixth Form in the UK as a secondary school, and then at 16, he stayed on for another 2 years. During his time there, he was the head of the charities committee and had the honor of being head boy, which is like being a class president.
So that's pretty cool, you know.
What'd you learn in that experience?
I learned a lot, actually. I guess that's where I really started taking responsibilities, and it was where I started turning into an adult.
That's awesome.
Beautiful. So then you had a bunch of tough career path choices. Can we talk about the first one?
Yeah. So at 18 years old, I had a big choice to make, and that was study history, which was my favorite subject in school, and become a barrister, which is like a lawyer. You wear a wig, a white wig.
Still to this day?
Yeah, to this day, we still wear a wig.
Didn't know that.
And we talk in courts, and we're on the offense or defense of clients. And usually see the pictures with, they're up there with their wig pointing towards the jury. And I also, at the same time, was offered a stockbroking apprenticeship at funny enough, a U.S. trading firm. So who would have known that I would have ended up in the US and found my wife there? But we'll get to that eventually. So I had to think long and hard, but eventually I chose the stockbroking apprenticeship route. And before I continue, I would say to any of those listening out there, or to all of you, I would strongly advise you to take your time before you make a decision like that, because it was a tough decision to make, and it was a long, gritty ladder that I had to climb, with a lot of people realizing it wasn't maybe the best job for them, but I stuck out and I started climbing up that ladder. And
so what tipped the scale towards the apprenticeship?
Yeah, so you had to pass a number of exams in-house, and you'll probably hear the word grit from me quite often, and I think that's a word that associates with a successful financial advisor or someone in that industry. And I stuck it out. It's about sticking it out, passing those exams, hitting your targets, and keep pushing forward. And it's funny because just as I started reaching that top and I became successful, there's a small market incident called the recession. Don't know if you heard of it.
That thing, yeah.
2007, right?
Yes. And I had to completely change my game. So I studied for derivatives. For those that don't know derivatives, I became a derivatives trader. In short, it basically enabled me to make money for my clients, or at least attempt to make money for my clients, regardless of which way the market moves. So you can short sell the market, you can make money if the market goes down. And of course, the traditional way that everyone knows is making money by buying stock when it goes up. Yes.
And how old were you at this point when you got the apprenticeship?
I was 18 when I got the apprenticeship, and I was 21, 2021 when I became a trader, a derivatives trader.
Wow.
Yeah,
Are you making any money on your side for yourself, or is it all for clients?
Sadly, I wish I could. Some big opportunities for me to make money, but sadly it was a conflict of interest because with derivatives you can leverage. So we're leveraging up to 10 times. So if someone put down $1,000, you can leverage it to 10,000. So you can make some, if someone puts down 10, you can be 100 and so forth. So the idea was because it was fast moving, there'll be a conflict of interest, me purchasing any of those stocks because I could be doing my best interest in front of clients. It's very, very regulated industry.
I kind of want to backtrack just a little bit when you were deciding between history or becoming a lawyer or this apprenticeship. Like you had all these interests, right? But what made the apprenticeship stand out the most to you? And do you have any regrets on choosing that path?
I know what chose it for me. It was, I don't know if it's the right one, but I guess I would answer the question because not every single person, I strongly believe that university is not for everyone. So it's a good question to answer. What did it for me was, at a very young age, I had two passions, history and for some reason, not for some reason, my parents were market traders. So at a young age, I used to see money crossing hands all the time. And I used to look up there and I used to question how much things cost at a very young age. So I guess I had a passion for some sort of trading. And when the opportunity came, it was literally choosing out of two passions. Now, one of them, arguably both of them are incredibly hard. To become a lawyer, there's a lot of studying. And to become a stockbroker, there's a lot of mental pressure and a lot of work as well that needs to be done. But I ended up choosing that one because maybe it paid me a little bit more quicker, perhaps.
Definitely. Like Sam said, things in the financial industry change fast. You got to get with the program or you'll be left in the dust. After a couple years at the apprenticeship, Sam found himself at a crossroads.
And then I was approached by a company in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. I think I might have had a resume somewhere out there. And I was approached and they promised me tax-free money and internal sunshine. So it was a hard one to turn down. I did ponder on it and eventually I made the second biggest career decision I'd ever made. It was extremely, extremely hard. I moved to a desert. I say it's a desert. It is a desert, but it's a beautiful desert. And I didn't know anyone. I did not know one person. In fact, I knew one person from a friend of a friend. If I look at greatest accomplishments, I would say moving to Dubai was up there. As
scary. It's moving to any country that you've never been to or you've never been there before.
I had been there as a tourist, which is funny. I tell you what, I've been there as a tourist for with my parents and my brothers about 4 years before that. And just a little a point here, moving to a country to work is completely different from visiting that country as a tourist. It's completely different. It's, when you actually have to work somewhere. So anyway, I arrived, I was definitely overweight in terms of luggage. And and I'm huddling all this stuff and trying to find my apartment and the company. And I'm thinking to myself, what have I done? I don't know where the heck I am. It's changed so much in the 4 years since I was there for 5 days as a tourist. This is my home. The core language is Arabic. I don't speak Arabic, and fortunately, it's Western enough to speak English. But still, it was a mind-blowing experience. And then the word grit comes in again because the first year was arguably the hardest year of my life. There would be times when I was in the office late at night. When I say late at night, early morning, 12:30, 1 in the morning. And nearly in tears, thinking to myself, what the heck am I doing here? And I want to go home. My friends are home and family were home and whatnot. And I just stuck at it. I thought to myself, no, I'm gonna stick at this and I'm gonna make it happen. And then things started changing. And I had a large amount of clients come on board, and I started getting promoted within the company, helping staff within the company, running meetings, and had a very successful career there.
Awesome. What was the most exciting experience from your time in Dubai that you can remember?
Yeah. World travel. I started learning Chinese, Mandarin. When I was in Dubai, I went to safaris in Kenya and South Africa. I climbed Kilimanjaro. I ran a marathon, which I said I'll never do, but it was during my time in Dubai. I ran the London Marathon for raising money for meningitis. I had meningitis B when I was 5 years old. I was 24 hours away from dying.
Oh, wow.
Just it really opened my eyes and gave me the opportunity to do things and to travel the world and to experience different cultures. And that's what Dubai brought for me.
I think I know your answer for this, but how important is it to go study abroad, just travel abroad, just for young students? How important is that?
I would say that's the most important thing you should do in your life. It was the most important thing I ever did. I've got goosebumps talking about this right now because I'm so passionate about this. I have a theory called awareness. I know it sounds silly, but I believe that if you travel and work abroad, you become aware. And if you are aware, then you are one of the small percentage of the world that live in different countries to fully understand a different culture. And there's different ways to do that. As you said, you can study abroad or live there for a short time, or at least travel the world. But it was definitely the biggest thing that shaped me to become the man that I am today.
Beautifully
And then
put.
you said starting off the first year or so, you were like, I want to go home. What
Yeah.
was it that made you stay ultimately, since there were so many cons in that first year?
I struggle with failing, and that coupled with a small amount of debt, which I accumulated living there. I didn't want to come back to the UK with that debt, and I thought to myself, I'm committed, and I'm going to do this, and there's no way I'm going to come back. I'm going to make this happen.
He definitely made things happen. Sam worked his ass off in Dubai to establish himself, but even after that, it was time for a change. What was the next step?
Well, the third, I wouldn't say final, but you should never write my life off. No pun intended. I do life insurance, but at 28 and a half, was it? Yeah, 28 and a half. I was offered I was headhunted by a large company, international company with an office in New York. And at this point in my life, it was completely different. All my life changes, all my life-changing decisions were at different stages. Now, this stage, I'm becoming more established. I've got pretty much everything I want in Dubai. I've got a good client base. I've got a good lifestyle. I'm traveling around the world, and I'm traveling well. And I was approached by a company to move to New York. And the main reason why I moved there was curiosity.
You hadn't been to New York
Interesting.
before then.
I had been whilst I was in Dubai, but once again, I went there as a tourist, and New York is not the same place when you work there from when you go as a tourist. I can tell you that. The 4 days I was there as a tourist was not enough for me to really understand what it would have been like living there. But it was purely curiosity. I did not want to think 10 years down the road, what would have New York been like if I had moved there? And 7 days after I landed, I met my wife.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
Where was it? Give us a story.
It was, so I should have met her 2.5 years previously. So
Interesting.
we both had the same mutual friends. We was on this sailing trip in Greece, but we didn't see each other. And 7 days after I landed in New York, there was a brunch. Literally 6 weeks later, we were going on a sailing trip on the south of Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
More
and
traveling.
She happened to be going to that trip. So she was at the brunch, and we met at the brunch, and the rest is history.
Wow.
We got married after 5.5 months.
Wow.
It was meant to be.
A love story for the ages. His wife offers so much support, especially since the financial industry has such highs and lows. Whether it be a romantic partner or family members or close friends, it's so important to have that support system to push you to keep going and remind you that you're a rock star, because you are.
So the financial industry changes in the blink of an eye, right? Well, so was the case with Sam's job status. But to be persistent.
Yeah, so the company I moved over for had a large restructuring, and they laid off 80% of the exact of their staff. Massive restructure, and I was now going through a grit again because I now had to wait for my work permit because I can no longer be in the United States anymore without a work permit. That work permit took 6.5 months to arrive. I was under forced unemployment, forced being the sense that I was offered jobs by Morgan Stanley, prospect job by UBS and by Northwestern Mutual. I couldn't do anything because I wasn't allowed to work until I waited for my work permit to arrive. During that time, believe it or not, if I left the country, I would have been restricted from re-entering for around 10 years. And if I had a job during that time period, I would have been left the country and probably not allowed to enter at all because I wasn't allowed the job and I'm getting the job. And I share that with you because of purely because of my listeners. And that's because it's very easy at that stage to go back to a place of comfort, maybe go back to Dubai, try and get some clients back, maybe go to the UK and start something there. But no, I stood ground, waited for that work permit to arrive, and I chose Northwestern Mutual as the career that I wanted to take.
Nice. From jumping to different companies, do the clients ever come with you?
Sadly not, especially being in the States. There's different rules from managing clients' portfolios if you're in America. It's a 9-hour time difference from Dubai. So the clients were well looked after within the company. I had to just pass them back to the company, and then there was another senior advisor that would look after those clients.
Sam's got some insight on how to impress the hiring managers at financial companies.
So New York is the mecca for a lot of students that want to get into the finance industry. What are some interview tips that you have for students that want to land positions in New York?
I would just say be yourself and be calm. They're not there to eat you alive. They're looking
Although
for...
it feels like it.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like it. It does feel like it for everyone that's listening there. But I can tell you one thing. In fact, let me go back to when I was before I took that stockbroking apprenticeship. I managed to get an interview at Credit Suisse in London. Yep. And so Credit Suisse, a large a Swiss bank, them and UBS are the biggest Swiss banks, and they're international. And I from a friend, I got an interview, and let's just say I did not get the job because I was not myself. I was not cool, calm, and collected. I was completely flustered. I think I arrived 2 minutes late, which is a no-no.
Oh, no.
And I was sweating and everything. So she politely told me that I didn't get the position, and she said, just be yourself next time. So now fast forwarding to answer that question there.
That's so nice how it all comes together.
I think you should definitely just be yourself. And trust your ability. If you want to move into this industry, then you are already you're already halfway there, but you're thinking it and you know what you want to do. Just portray that in the interview and just be yourself. They're human beings behind there. They're not there to eat you alive. They're just trying to see your qualities. Name your qualities. Tell them what you're good at. Tell them what you can bring to the company, and that will help you.
Nice.
So what was the process of getting the job at Northwestern then? Did you have to interview? Was it you applied, or did they come for you? How'd they come?
Many interviews, but I will say that they were they're an awesome company, and the interviews were sometimes extensive in terms of things you have to do to see if you're the right person for a job, not necessarily if you're right for them.
Do they put you to the test?
Yeah, but they put you to the test to make sure that you're able to do the job. It's more for your own benefit. And I think that's what people should understand when they get interviewed for financial companies. It's that what they're doing is to see whether you are made for the job. It's not even about them to the most extent. And that's why I finished off a few minutes back by saying to see what you can offer them.
Yep.
They want to see that you're hungry and you can help the company grow. If you really understand that, interviews are extremely easy.
Right.
You don't have to be cocky in that sense, but it's just a case of, listening to their questions and just answering truthfully and showing how you can benefit them, which I did, and I got the job.
And now we're here today.
And now we're here today.
Could you go briefly into like what the different stages of the interviews are, just so that our listeners are prepared?
I don't want to scare my listeners. I was very fortunate. I was meant to have an interview with a lady which tried to initially get me in for a job interview, but actually, I say fortunate. Now, depending on who's listening, you can see whether your cup is half full or half empty. Because
This next story you're about to hear, we want you to think about what you would say in this situation. Put yourself in Sam's shoes. Would you say anything at all?
I say fortunate by accidentally bumping into the managing partner of our office in Northwestern Mutual, and he was the person that interviewed me on my very first interview. Now, the reason why I see that as an opportunity is because I'm talking to the main person within, my boss's boss, essentially, who was interviewing me. And that's the difference. It's just that opportunity you can have there.
Some people are like super scared
Yeah,
to
some
just
might
even
be-
approach someone of that.
Yeah, someone might be
stature.
scared. They're like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm talking to the main person. But if you're saying who you are, what you can do, what you can bring to the table, and how you can help the company grow, then
You're set.
you're set. But that being aside, I still had a lot of interviews. So it was just mainly one to see a general chat about, my story, why I'm in New York, why do I think Northwestern Mutual can be a good fit, what they can bring to the table for me and how they can help me grow my career. The second one was like this test. And I don't know if I should, it's basically just a test to see your abilities, like not necessarily an emotional.
Is it those tests that just kind of sum up your thinking process and your
Yeah.
personality and how that correlates with?
It's not like they put a helmet on me or
workflow?
something and
Right.
wired me up. It wasn't like that.
Myers-Briggs or something?
Sorry?
Myers-Briggs test?
Yeah, I think there's different
Something
words for
like
it, but it
that,
was just
yeah.
something to see where I score in terms of self-discipline and by the way, there's no real answer for these things, so you don't have to fake them. You just
Right.
literally be yourself, and it will put you into a category, and they'll basically just see if you're someone that puts your head down and studies more, or if you're someone that goes out there and might need assistance on those things. I believe there was another two more, but they were fun. Every single interview was fun,
Nice.
and they should be. I think these days, especially in New York, fortunately, I've only been in the interviewing side once, and that was with Northwestern Mutual. But I believe financial companies might do the same thing. I don't think it's a one interview and you're all set. It's probably going to be two or three.
Right.
But just always be yourself, and you'll be fine.
Sam got the job at Northwestern Mutual as a financial advisor, where he works with clients to achieve their financial goals through different insurance and investment vehicles. There's many different types of plans and solutions that Northwestern offers, like life insurance, disability, long-term care, annuities, IRAs, Roth IRAs. The list goes on. And we'll get all into it in the advice episode on Friday. All that being said, in order to help his clients best, Sam likes to follow a 4-step process.
The 4-step approach is basically meeting someone from scratch and finding out where they are in their life, what their needs might be, if they have any financial debt, if they have any student loans, anything in between, and basically finding a solution in which we can help them. Stage 2 is basically sitting down with them and actually going through a financial plan. And within that plan, we can bridge the gaps in between where they think they are and how likely they are to achieve that goal. And ask them loads of questions, as many questions as we can. And the more questions they answer, the more we can ascertain how we can help them and what we can put in place for them. Stage 3 is actually coming back with a financial plan for our clients and basically saying, this is what you said, this is where you are, and if there's any gaps in between that, this is what we can do to fulfill those gaps. And stage 4 is them taking action on that plan and then reviewing that plan on a regular basis as they get older as they start to perhaps have families, if that's what they're looking for, if they're buying property or anything like that. And we review that plan on an ongoing basis. So we try to simplify it in four stages.
Great.
But it's all designed to help them build their plan.
Is that that process? It is kind of a general process for everybody in your kind of role. But is that something that you're championing and you're making, or is that something Northwestern Mutual, like they gave you the 4 steps to success type thing?
I think, that's definitely a Northwestern Mutual approach.
Okay.
But then if you just zoom out of that, that generally would be an approach to follow as a financial planner. I think Northwestern Mutual just do it beautifully in the sense that they have those stages there for every client to see. But of course, no client's the same.
Gotcha.
But if you follow the same process every single time, you'll then start to get a different answers from each client, and then we deal with those clients appropriately and make sure we can help them in any way possible.
Can you go in? I know just from my experience, I worked in insurance a little bit, not life insurance. It was personal lines, but we had a life insurance and all the disability and everything in the office. Her role was very entrepreneurial. She had to be an entrepreneur. Can you speak to that to yourself? Do you find yourself having to think in an entrepreneurial mindset with this role?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Is like building on that, is Northwestern Mutual someone that wants to like structure how you work, or like kind of where you're going, it's more of an entrepreneurial?
That's a really good question. So as a structure, as a corporation, Northwestern Mutual have been around for 161 years.
Wow.
And what they do very successfully. They do promote entrepreneurial skills and promote us growing as individuals. So within the company, you can grow, you can set up your own team. And then within that team, you can branch off as a network office and still work within Northwestern Mutual. So yes, I would very much say that they do promote us to be entrepreneurial and grow within ourselves and further grow the company.
So that's nice to hear, I think, because I feel like a lot of people worry that working at a big corporation like that they don't really have the autonomy to try things new. So it's nice that Sam has that option, but also falling back on the foundation that Northwestern Mutual has been so successful with. So it's the best of both worlds. So after recording this interview, we later learned that Sam got the honorable mention of being one of the top first-year associates at Northwestern Mutual. I mean, what an amazing honor. That takes so much hard work and so much dedication, and really takes a special kind of person to put in that work and just create a relationship with clients like that. He just makes it look so easy. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing all of that awesome insight and experience, and congratulations on the recognition. That is amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. With that awesome nugget of information, that wraps up episode 1 of 3 in the Planning Financial Future series of the Experience a Diddle podcast. So what exactly does Sam, along with other financial advisors, actually do all day? Next in the A Diddle episode, we'll experience a specific day in the life of a financial advisor, hour by hour.
Thanks for listening. Each week, we bring you interviews from professionals in the jobs that you want, highlighting each guest's career experience on Mondays, a day in the life on Wednesdays, and their advice to you on Fridays.
Visit our website, experienceadiddle.com, to find the show notes for this episode with all relevant links and photos. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Experience a Diddle. That's Experience ADITL. And of course, we're here to help all students make more informed career decisions. Visit our website to read all A Diddle articles from all different jobs and careers interviewed, written, and published for students by students. You can sign up to join the A Diddle Army at experienceadiddle.com/students, and let's grow together.
We want to pay for your textbooks. As an ongoing contest, at the end of each semester, we'll randomly pick a winner from our subscribers who wrote us a review and buy all of their textbooks. So hit subscribe and tell us what you think about the show, and remember, you will be great.